Hey everyone, I'm Mia. I'm your typical 28-year-old city girl, living the dream in Chicago with a cozy marketing job. Life was sweet, or so I thought. Then my grandpa passed away, and everything changed. Growing up, I spent every summer on grandpa's farm in rural Illinois. Those were some of the best days, running through cornfields, chasing chickens, and sneaking extra slices of grandma's apple pie. Grandpa would always wink at me, saying, "Our little secret, Maya Bear." But there was tension too. My Uncle Henry, Aunt Deborah, and cousins Tom and Sandra lived nearby, and whenever they visited, the mood shifted. Grandpa would get quiet, and I'd overhear hushed arguments like, "Henry, you can't keep asking for advances on your inheritance. It's my birthright, Dad. You owe me." At the time, I didn't understand. Now? Oh, I get it. Last week, we were all packed into a stuffy lawyer's office for Grandpa's will reading. I was trying to hold back tears, missing him something fierce. Then, the lawyer announced, "To my granddaughter Mia, I leave my entire farm and all its assets." You could have heard a pin drop. Then all hell broke loose. "This is ridiculous." Uncle Henry shot up, face red as a tomato. "Dad promised me that farm." Aunt Deborah screeched like a barn owl. "She doesn't know the first thing about farming. She'll ruin it." Tom and Sandra glared at me like I'd robbed them. Real family love, right? I was in shock. A whole farm? Me? A city girl who can barely keep a houseplant alive. But then, a strange excitement bubbled up inside me. Grandpa believed in me. He trusted me with his legacy. "I'll do it," I heard myself say. "I'll run the farm." Uncle Henry laughed, a nasty, mocking sound. "You, little Miss Manicure, you won't last a week." My hands shook, but I held his gaze. "Watch me." As we left, I heard Tom muttering to Sandra, "Dad'll fix this. No way we're letting her take what's ours." I should have been scared, but instead, I felt fired up. Grandpa saw something in me, and I was going to prove him right. Driving back to Chicago, my mind was spinning. How do you even start running a farm? What about my job, my life? But I remembered Grandpa's words from my last visit. "Maya, sometimes life throws you a curveball. You just gotta grab that bat and swing." Well, Grandpa, here goes nothing. Packing up my life felt like jumping off a cliff without a parachute. But no guts, no glory, right? I walked into my boss's office, took a deep breath, and dropped the bomb. "I need a leave of absence. I inherited a farm." Her jaw practically hit the floor. "A farm?" A week later, I pulled up to the farmhouse in my little sedan, feeling like a fish out of water. Before I could even grab my bags, here comes Uncle Henry, stomping across the yard. Well, look who thinks she can play farmer," he sneered. "Nice to see you too, Uncle Henry," I said, keeping it civil. "This isn't some petting zoo, girl. You're in over your head." I brushed past him, lugging my suitcase. "Thanks for the welcome, but I'll manage." If only that was the worst of it. The next morning, I found a huge hole cut in the main pasture fence, cows everywhere. I was running around in my pajamas, herding cows like a city girl rodeo. And it just kept coming. Tractor tires slashed, chicken coop doors left open. Every day, something new. One night, I overheard Tom and Sandra whispering behind the barn. "Dad says we gotta step it up. Make her life hell till she gives up and sells." "What if she doesn't?" Sandra asked. "Then we get creative. Nobody blame her if she had an accident out here, all alone." My blood ran cold. This wasn't just family squabbling anymore. This was dangerous. I went to the sheriff, John, no relation, unfortunately, but he laughed it off. "Sounds like typical new farmer troubles. You sure you're cut out for this, little lady?" With no help from him, I was at my wit's end when my boyfriend Jake came to visit. I thought, finally, some support. But after just one day of nonstop chaos, he broke down. "Maya, this is insane. Just sell the damn place and come back to Chicago." "I can't, Jake. This was Grandpa's legacy." "Well, I didn't sign up for this drama. Call me when you come to your senses." And just like that, he was gone. I cried myself to sleep that night, feeling more alone than ever. But the real blow came a few days later. I finally lined up a meeting with some big produce buyers, a chance to turn things around. The night before, I went to check on the animals one last time when wham, someone shoved me into the barn and slammed the door. "Hey, let me out," I screamed, pounding on the door, but it was padlocked from the outside. I spent the whole night trapped, missing my big meeting. When I finally got out the next morning, filthy, exhausted, I seriously considered throwing in the towel. Maybe they were right. Maybe it wasn't cut out for this. Then, in the corner of the barn, something caught my eye. A faint glint from beneath a pile of old tools. Curiosity took over, and I went to check it out. What I found changed everything. After that awful night trapped in the barn, I was done. Finished. I stumped into the house, grabbed my suitcase, and started shoving in clothes. They win, I muttered, wiping away angry tears. I can't do this anymore. But as I was clearing out the attic, looking for some old photos to remember Grandpa by, I noticed something odd, a floorboard that didn't quite fit. I pried it up, and beneath it was a hidden compartment with a dusty journal and a stack of legal papers. My hands shook as I opened the journal. It was Grandpa's handwriting. I whispered, "Oh my God," as I read entry after entry. The truth was all there. Years of Uncle Henry embezzling from the farm, cooking the books, and squeezing Grandpa for more money. And the papers? A real will, not the one from the lawyer's office. This one clearly stated the farm was meant for me, always. But there was more. Mixed in with farm records were notes on a shady real estate scheme Uncle Henry had been involved in. It looked like he was buying up land to flip for massive profits, and not exactly legally. I realized I needed help. This was way beyond anything I'd ever dealt with. That's when I remembered Maria, a friend I'd met in town. I took a chance and called her, praying she'd pick up. "Maria, it's Mia from the John farm. I need your help. It's big." Bless her, she came right over. We spread everything out on the kitchen table, and her eyes grew wide. "Maya, this is huge. Your uncle could go to jail for this. So, what do we do?" A glint sparked in Maria's eyes. "We play it smart. Make them think they've won, then hit them where it hurts." We stayed up all night, plotting and planning. By morning, we had a game plan that would make Sun Tzu proud. Step 1. Make them think I was leaving for good. I waited until I knew Uncle Henry would be watching, then started loading up my car, putting on my best defeated face. Right on cue, he swaggered over. "Finally saw sense, huh? Knew you couldn't hack it." I forced myself to look defeated. "You were right, Uncle Henry. I'm not cut out for this. The farm's all yours." "Damn straight it is. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, princess." It took everything I had not to slap the smug look off his face. Instead, I got in my car and drove off, watching his little victory dance in my rearview mirror. Little did he know, I was just heading to Maria's to lay low. For the next 2 weeks, Maria and I worked nonstop. We dug deeper into Uncle Henry's shady dealings, following every lead like unraveling the world's most corrupt sweater. One night, Maria pointed at her laptop, shaking her head. "Look at this. Your uncle's name is all over these land purchases. He's been hiding behind shell companies." I whistled. "Go big or go home, huh, Uncle Henry?" Once we had enough evidence to sink a battleship, we made the call to the state police, the FBI, the works. They were on it in a heartbeat. Then came the day of reckoning, the annual John family barbecue. I showed up like nothing was wrong, all smiles and hugs. Uncle Henry sneered, beer in hand. "Look who came crawling back." I smiled sweetly. "Wouldn't miss it for the world, Uncle Henry." When everyone gathered around the picnic tables, I stood up, my heart pounding. I'd like to make a toast to family and to justice. That's when I pulled out Grandpa's real will, his journals, and all the evidence we'd gathered. Uncle Henry's face went from red to white in a heartbeat. "You little," he snarled, lunging for the documents. "Go ahead, Uncle Henry. Destroy them. I've got copies. Lots of copies." Right on cue, police sirens sounded in the distance. Uncle Henry looked like he was going to be sick as state troopers walked up. "Henry John," one of them said, "you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy." The backyard was chaos. Aunt Deborah screeching, Tom and Sandra trying to run. Spoiler alert, they didn't get far. And even the crooked sheriff sputtering excuses as he got cuffed. After the dust settled, I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. I hired pros who knew farming inside and out, then put my marketing skills to use, rebranding the whole operation as John Family Farms, where tradition meets innovation. Fast forward a year, and we were the talk of the state. Organic produce, farm-to-table events, the works. Tom and Sandra tried crawling back, all apologies and newfound family loyalty. I shut that down real quick. And here in tonight, hosting our first big farm-to-table dinner. Fairy lights are strung up in the old barn, and long tables are piled high with food we grew ourselves. As I stand up to welcome everyone, I catch a glimpse of Grandpa's old photo on the wall, that familiar mischievous smile of his beaming back at me. I could almost hear his voice. Atta girl, Maya bear, you showed him what you're made of. Raising my glass, I grin from ear to ear. To new beginnings, and to those who believed in us. Cheers, everyone. Glasses clink, laughter flows, and I know, deep down, this is exactly where I'm meant to be. Uncle Henry and his crew? They're yesterday's news. This farm and we're the future, and let me tell you, it's looking mighty bright from where I'm standing. Now, I've got a question for you. If you were in Maya's shoes, would you have given Tom and Sandra a second chance? Or do you think Maya made the right call by cutting them out completely? Family can be complicated, and sometimes the lines between loyalty and self-preservation get blurry. What would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks for watching this video.